Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Let's begin today with a little bit of common sense, and that is when you're in a relationship with someone, there's a two-way street going on there. Relationships, by definition, imply there's an us here. Now, as simple as that thought is, let's bring it over to the mind of the narcissist and recognize they don't think in terms of us and we. Narcissists begin with an attitude of entitlement that says, well, in this relationship, there's me and that's enough. And then as they look at you, they're looking toward you to fulfill whatever entitled attitudes they have. The beginning point that we have with narcissists is that they can be very selfish and self-absorbed. They have an I deserve kind of mindset. They'll have a haughty attitude. Now, sometimes in their overtness, that haughtiness comes through in a very huge way. Other times with coverts, it's a little bit more muffled. But when I say they have a haughty attitude, they honestly believe that you exist to make their life go a little bit better. You're the peon. They're the higher up kind of person, and you're supposed to make them feel happy or stable or give them whatever financial remuneration they want or whatever it might be. Narcissists feel like they're entitled to make you think as they do. And then when you choose not to think as they do, or you just don't, then they interpret it as you rejecting them. So it means that they're going to be now the victim. Narcissists with this attitude of entitlement show themselves to be very insecure. They're extremely needy. What are you going to do for me next? And of course, they won't admit it. But like I say, if you run contrary to them, then they're going to hold you in contempt. You're the bad guy in the situation. And then if you attempt to call them out on it, they're unable to be honest about how they come across and how they treat people. If there's a problem, it must be you. So I want us to have a real good understanding of what's going on with these individuals so that as you see this attitude of entitlement, rather than getting sucked into the game plan that goes along with it with all of your complaints and efforts in reverse, I'm hoping you can have a really good understanding of what your boundaries are going to be relative to that entitled narcissist. And as they come at you, then I'm hoping that you can also use those opportunities as a chance to maintain your healthy boundaries. Narcissists feel entitled to your admiration. They want you to praise them. They want you to fawn all over them. With boundaries, I'm hoping you can say, I'm going to be kind and good. That's not a problem, but I don't feel the need to go with that. Boundaries means you define who you are and you're okay with who you are. You stay steady with that. Likewise, narcissists have this better than kind of a mindset. And as they come at you with all of their harshness and their condescension, I'm hoping that inside your boundaries, there's going to be a mindset that says, I'm no one's flunky. I'm okay with who I am. And it's a mindset that you carry. And then when they imply you don't measure up, it's like, I know that's the way you think. But you see, I'm comfortable with being me and I'm going to proceed with my sense of well-being intact. Narcissists have little to no empathy. In other words, what they imply, sometimes they may say it out loud, sometimes it's just understood, what you feel and what you perceive and how you interpret things don't matter to me. I don't factor that in. In your boundaries, though, I'm hoping you can think, I do factor that in, how I think and feel and interpret, and I'm going to stay steady with myself. And if you choose not to go along with that, that's where you are, but I give myself permission to be fully me. Narcissists, with their attitude of entitlement, will constantly seek the power position. They like being the authority person. Sometimes this comes out with them being extremely bossy or very stubborn or immovable in their ways of doing things. With your boundaries, I'm hoping you can say, you get to be whatever you want to be, but you see, I don't feel like I have to go along with your power mindset. If you feel like you have to be the authority, you're not my authority. And so your boundaries is your way of saying, I define me, and it doesn't include that. Now, also in their entitlement, it's extremely predictable that narcissists will be highly critical. They can hardly ever be pleased. They're constantly in a demanding mode. And so it's easy to get into a complaint mode when you're on the receiving end of that criticism. Wait a minute. What about if you just had boundaries that says your criticisms are where you are, but you see, I have some ideas about who I am and they don't match pitch with who you are. I'm going to go ahead and prioritize what I know about me and about the way that I approach life. That's my boundary. I'm sticking with it. You may be whatever you want, but I don't feel the need to alter my personalities just to please your attitude of entitlement. Now, you can predict that as you maintain this mindset, that whenever the disagreements continue, the results can be rather ugly. Narcissists are known for having dysregulated anger. It's a part of their authoritarian attitude. Hey, you need to pay attention to me, and when you don't, it's my job to punish you. And one of the problems that many people have is they get swept into that anger along with the narcissist. Wait a minute. When we're talking about having healthy boundaries, it's like, I don't feel the need to let you, the narcissist, set my pace anger-wise. I have an idea of who I'm going to be and how I'm going to manage myself in the midst of difficulties. It's not that. And so I'm hoping that you can individualize your healthiness rather than allowing that narcissist to take your cues, rather than taking your cues from the narcissist. That's what we mean when we talk about having boundaries. In addition, with their attitude of entitlement, narcissists will have lots of double standards. For example, I can spend money, but you can't. Or I can yell at you, but you better not yell at me. Or you have to report to me and stay accountable, but I'm not going to do the same in reverse. And I'm hoping you can think, wait a minute, there you go again. In your boundaries, I'm hoping you can think, well, whether it's money or how I'm going to respond with yelling or my disagreements or who's going to be accountable, I think I'm going to decide how I'm going to manage myself there. And I have some good ideas about that. And I'm hoping you can lean into your own good thinking and your own common sense and let that determine who you're going to be. That's your boundaries. Likewise, the narcissist thinks that when we harmonize with each other, well, what that means is you conform to me. So we've harmonized now. And harmony is not that at all. It's a matter of us learning each other's pluses and minuses and learning how to flow with one another, hopefully in a constructive way. So when they come at you with this false notion of harmonizing, which simply means you have to conform, I'm hoping you can say, I'm quite willing to be a harmonizer, but it doesn't mean that I lay down my brain. It doesn't mean that I lay down my way of thinking. That would be another way that your boundaries would guide you in response to their attitude of entitlement. Now, once again, we're going to say that narcissists, because you may not go along with everything they want, will then become absurdly defensive. And by that, I mean, they'll think, how dare you treat me in the way that you do? And I'm not going to take whatever your guff is that you're throwing towards me. And they're going to interpret you as being an offensive person. Inside your mind of boundaries, I'm hoping you can ask, well, is that a good interpretation of me? And when you realize, no, all they're doing is they're sidestepping their own analysis of who they are, and they're projecting much of their turmoil onto me. In good boundaries, it's like, nope, I'm not buying into that. You can defend yourself all you want, but I'm not going to take the role as the villain in that play. That doesn't work for me. Many times, as a result of their attitude of entitlement, they'll go into a punishment mode toward you. You're going to be sorry for being distinct from me. And sometimes people can collapse. And I'm thinking, if you feel the need to punish me just because I'm me, that's on you. I'm going to go ahead and continue living as well as I can. It may be that I'm going to have to minimize my interactions with you, the narcissist. But your threats of punishment, that's not going to pull me under. I don't get riled up over things like that, maybe like I used to in years past. Narcissists are unwilling, they're unable to negotiate. So that being the case, with your boundaries intact, you decide, well, I'm going to live my life as cleanly as possible and give anyone and everyone the least amount of material to come at me with. I want to be a decent person, in other words. I am going to live with civility. That's part of your boundaries. And basically, you're thinking, in my relationships, dominance is not going to be a central theme. I don't want to dominate anyone, nor am I going to dominate. So narcissists are going to come at you with this attitude of entitlement. Here's what you owe me. Here's what you have to do to keep me happy. And I'm hoping you can realize I'm dealing with a little kid, the little child it's like, well, it's all about me. Give me what I want. And even with kids, you eventually teach them it's nice to share. You're supposed to be kind or use your inside voice. Narcissists are still back in that childlike state, and they haven't even learned the basics. And so knowing that and understanding that, when they come toward you with their entitled, condescending, critical, argumentative mindset, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Boundaries means that I have a good idea of who I'm going to be. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to handle myself in a clean way as much as possible. I'm going to remain calm and confident. When I have to be firm, I'm going to have a sense of civility. The narcissist is like, I don't do that. And over on my side of the equation, it's like, I know that. And I also know that something is dreadfully wrong inside a person who thinks that it really is okay to be this haughty, condescending person over me or you. I'm not going to do something like that. There's a lesson that narcissists never did really learn, and that is, if you're looking for good treatment from others, it tends to be a direct byproduct of you giving and investing in good treatment toward others. You build someone else's significance, and it tends to come back. Not always, but your odds are going to go way up. They don't think like that in the least. And I hope that videos such as this can give you some good food for thought and give you a good idea of what you're dealing with. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. Gus and I will keep more videos coming in your direction. I know that many times that when you're trying to deal with people like this, it would be helpful for you to have a therapist to help you unpack this. And I'm so pleased that for years now, I've been sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. There's a link below to their online, affordable, and accessible therapy service. And if that's something you could utilize, I would strongly encourage you to go in that direction. I also have therapeutic classes. This Is Me is about boundaries. Ready, Set, Connect is about establishing connection skills, Free to Be, finding yourself, and there's links below that will take you to that. We have my webinars as well. We have our Surviving Narcissism podcast, wherever you get podcasts. We have our books and our website with many articles, lots of resources. So I appreciate you letting me be on your journey with you. Okay, narcissist is just a guarantee. It's a given. They are going to come toward you with their attitude of entitlement. That's where you are. But I'm hoping you can have such a strong definition of yourself that says, I'm okay with who I am, that you don't get sucked into their dysfunction. And what it does is it positions you to be a person of DRC, dignity, respect, and civility. And at least in my mind, that's the direction you can go so that you can find your place of peace.